Less than a week into the job, and Caroline Leavitt has already landed the Trump administration in legal trouble. That's definitely a standout addition to the sum. Who could have seen this coming? I mean, she took the podium and assured everyone that honesty would be her daily priority. What could possibly go wrong?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do this. DOJ and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money.
Surprise, surprise. It turns out $0 was spent on condoms for Gaza. But hey, let's not get bogged down in details. After all, $45,000 was spent on oral contraceptives for Jordan. The press corps didn't seem particularly impressed, but the New York Times was. They called her steely and unflinching. Bravo, says the Times, overlooking the fact that this is just another instance of the same old act where a young blonde press secretary wearing a cross steps up, lies to the press, and misleads the American people every time she takes the podium. Only this time, she's unflinching. And she was just as unflinching when she landed the administration in legal hot water. How? By outright denying what the Constitution clearly says.
Mentioned have a right to have that legal opinion, but it is in disagreement with the legal opinion of this administration. This administration believes that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, and that is why President Trump signed that executive. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
And so this doesn't affect Meals on Wheels or Head Start or disaster aid?
Again, it does not affect individual assistance that's going to Americans.
Not that day, but the next, the court issued a stay on Trump's freeze, largely because what he did was illegal and a violation of the Constitution. So, as press secretary, it was her job to walk it back and walk it back. She did. This is not a rescission of the federal funding freeze, just a rescission of the OMB memo, she said, attempting to clear up any confusion caused by the court's injunction. Although the president's executive orders on federal funding remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented. Well, whoops. That statement just pushed a bunch of state attorneys general into court seeking a restraining order against the administration. And yes, Trump is very familiar with restraining orders, but this gets worse. Politico reports that in court, the states are now using the press secretary's tweet as evidence that the funding freeze is still in effect, arguing that their lawsuit should continue. And it gets even worse. Politico states that U.S. Chief District Judge John McConnell granted the state's request, saying the withdrawal of the OMB memo was irrelevant based on the press secretary's comments. Ouch! That's a huge mistake. The judge even added, "I can't believe I am saying this, but that's my read of a tweet." This is what happens when you try to spin and justify the authoritarian overreach of democracy. The press secretary isn't just inexperienced, she's too willing to be part of an illegal and illegitimate operation of the federal government. She's so caught up in making a white Christian nationalist kleptocracy that no one should feel sorry for her, especially considering how she treats immigrants. And she's probably not too worried. After all, she likely believes that, in the end, Clarence Thomas will come to her rescue. He's a fan of Christian white nationalism, too.